Hello, my peeps, and welcome to another Power Packed Phillips podcast. Are you ready? All right, then let's get started. Just a friendly reminder, you do not have any homework from the workbook, algebra workbook today. You may take your packet home and work on it if you're not finished. Questions 1 through 5 are posted in Blackboard. Don't forget, start bringing in graph paper. You are going to need it, just like the Cubs need a World Series. Alrighty, let's get started. Today's podcast will be on lesson 4.2, Graphing Linear Equations, part 3. You ready?
Yes!
Here we go. You do not have to write this down,
Wow!
but please pay attention.
Woo-hoo!
We have been talking about the vocabulary word standard form. Standard form is one way to write an equation. It is not the only way. It is one way. A characteristic for standard form: the x and y are on the same side of the equation. An example: x and y are on the same side of the equation. This is standard form. This is a non-example, not standard form. The x and y are on different sides. If they're on the same side, standard form. If you would, please write down the equation y plus 3x equals -2. And
Yes!
this is in standard form because the x and y are on the same side of the equation. Think of y as the tornado or sharknado. Trust me, don't waste 83 minutes of your life. You'll never get it back. We are going to rewrite this equation that is in standard form so that y, the tornado, sharknado, is all by itself. Or basically you're solving the equation for y. So we want to move 3x to the other side. The tornado, sharknado is coming for it. Oh no, please help me, get me to the other side. So you do the inverse operation. The inverse of adding is to subtract. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. These are negated, and you will remember, do not combine these. They are not like terms. One has a variable. The other is a constant.
Woo-hoo!
Da bears. So I simply rewrite the equation. Y equals -3x minus 2. Cannot combine these. Do not combine them. Epic fail. Cub-like. Focus, Mr. Phillips. Okay, sorry. Looking like the Saints did in the last minute 15 in New England last weekend. Ouch! Don't let this happen to you on the state exam in May. All right. Remember, this is the equation we rewrote from our last slide before Ronald McDonald. This is our new equation. We are going to substitute, plug and chug, 0 in for the variable x. When I put a 0 in for x, that means I'm going to multiply them because they were touching each other. I follow order of operations. I now have 0 minus 2. That gives me -2. So y would equal -2. I'm going to put it over here in my chart. I now have an ordered pair. 0, -2. Next, I'm going to substitute, plug and chug, 1 in for the variable x. The coefficient and the variable were touching each other. That means multiplication. So I am going to multiply negative 3 and 1. Follow order of operations, I get negative 3. A negative 3 minus 2 gives me negative 5. So when I plug in 1, I get a negative 5. I now have 2 ordered pairs. What am I going to do next? That's right, we are going to substitute 2 in for the variable x. X is touching the coefficient, so that means I multiply. I now have negative 3 times 2. It's going to give me negative 6. Negative 6 minus 2 is going to give me negative 8. So when I plug in a 2, I get a negative 8. Now we can graph them. So while I practice my yodeling, you are going to get out a piece of graph paper. Count 10 to the right, 10 up, 10 to the left, and 10 down. Go ahead and pause this podcast unless you want to hear me. Some more. Annoying, huh? Kind of like the Cubs losing all the time. Annoying. Pause the podcast and you can resume it when you are ready. All right, now let us graph. We have the ordered pairs. 0, negative 2, 1, negative 5, 2, negative 8. 0 means I freeze. I stay right here. Negative 2 means I go down 2 spaces. I'm going to put a dot at 0, negative 2. 1, I'm going to go to the right, and then I'm going to go down 5, down 5. Go to the right 2, then down 8. Right 2, down 8. I'm thinking I don't need this one anymore. And then I am going to connect my dots with a line. I now have just graphed the equation y equals negative 3x minus 2. Thanks for watching.